Hey, I'm Kim.
And I'm Pancho, and you're listening to Now That You See It, a show that will ruin you for boring conversations forever.
It's about the invisible stuff that shapes how we think and connect, those, oh, wait, what? Moments that change how you perceive the world around you.
Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
Hi, Hi, Pancho.
We're live. Hi, Kim. How are you?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah.
overcaffeinated today, so even though it's the end of the day, I'm still, alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic.
I'm live enthusiastic. That's a nice song. We should put that on Broadway
Yeah,
somewhere. What
totally.
does
Yeah.
overcaffeinated feel like? And what is it? What qualifies as overcaffeinated? Like, how much do you have
Mm.
to drink to get there?
Yeah. You know, I think truly overcaffeinated is like that weird jittery feeling. I'm not there, but I was towing that line a few hours ago, and now I'm in a good place. But it's also
Yeah,
4 o'clock for me, which is too late to be this caffeinated usually. But
yeah.
we're doing okay. I'm not going to complain about it.
Man, it's one of those things that I have to work so hard to not overcaffeinate myself because
Mhm.
I love it's tea. It's just tea. Like it's not I don't have
Sure.
coffee. But you can easily overcaffeinate yourself if your system is sensitive with tea. And it's green tea. But goddamn, the green tea I drink is like it's delicious. It tastes like to me delicious. To other people it tastes like a mowed lawn. I mean, it's just like grassy. Like a freshly mowed
What's
lawn.
your green tea? What's your green tea of choice?
Now, I will tell you the answer to that question, but I will also say that I love all kinds of teas. I don't discriminate, but I there's a just sort of company called Harney and Sons that is just it's all over retail. Like it was in Barnes and
Hmm.
Noble when Barnes and Noble was like a thing. But they
Hmm.
also like behind the scenes, they have really good like they go sourcing these like high-end teas. Anyway, it's sencha. It's just like an everyday tea, but it's loose,
Okay.
and I put it in a French press and every day have it. And it is like every morning, I'm like, God, that this is so good. Every morning, it's that first cup. Like it never fades. It's one of the joys of my
Mm.
life. Is my
Mm.
sencha in the morning by myself.
Well,
The kids are sleeping. It's dark. It's great. This is adulthood. We're gonna be talking about a lot of adulthood things today,
yeah,
but this
today's
is one of my adulthood things.
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, a quick sneak preview. The
Hmm.
podcast topic for the day is adult friendships. I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, though, I'm curious, quick life updates. What have
Yeah.
you got coming into today's episode that you want to share?
Yeah. I give a life update and a little like, oh man, I got a I had a real bucket filler of a day, and I want to share that.
Yeah.
A little bit about it coaching wise. But life update is man is a long weekend, and my children have a tendency like we are talking. We're batting over 700 kind of tendency to get sick on the last day of long weekends every time.
Hmm.
Every Indigenous Peoples Day weekend, every long February break, it is like the Sunday before, the Monday before. They're like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, no, you feel fine.
No,
Anyway,
don't do that.
don't do that. Come on. Go to school. So one of my kids got stomach bug. And we, as a household, we did our best to not spread it. Thankfully, no one got it. Knock on
Hmm.
wood. But yeah, it's been a couple been a actually, it's wild because I've had COVID flashbacks because I've been in the house with the kids, not really able to leave for 6 days like this because it's a long break. Um, and doing like outdoor adventures but these past 2 days of this time we were like in the house, can't leave. And one kid is not sick, and that kid is an energetic individual, a whirling
Yeah.
dervish. And
Yeah.
we had a nor'easter come through the previous days, so we're inside with the rain. Man, I was flashing back to those early 2020 days of like, you're not going anywhere and you're just in this house with these people. And like how crazy that was for so long. You and I haven't talked about our COVID experience, which isn't the subject of this podcast, but I would love to hear what 2020, 2021 was like for you
Yeah.
at some
Yeah.
point.
I mean, that is a I think as time goes on, that's gonna be kind of like people who lived through the Great Depression, came out a very specific kind of individual with all these weird quirks that everybody looked at and like, "Why are you hoarding a year's worth of groceries in your pantry?" I think, for people who lived through the pandemic, there are probably gonna be some things that, some weird quirks we have that we don't notice in ourselves, but when we name them, they become really clear. So, yeah, that'd be a good episode.
You know what? I'm just realizing it's totally related to the topic today. Like how to
Okay.
make why are adult friendships hard? How to make them, like what to do
Mm,
about it. And it's a big part of like, I think about this all the time. It's really something that's sort of like grasped my brain recently. But COVID fomented social anxiety, a like explosion of internet-based ways of connecting. So we deepened like I don't go into an office anymore, and I am here in this yellow box 12 hours a day talking to people and not like so I'm getting some oxytocin. I'm not really getting the same kind of oxytocin I was before. I'm also getting not getting a lot of other
uh,
things that I'm like really happy to not get. Like I'm cool with the yellow box. But I am missing things, and I know I'm missing things. And actually, I know a lot of us are missing things from that experience. And I really do think that it cemented a kind of social anxiety because it was so easy to connect from home that
yeah.
we are afraid a little bit of the awkwardness that comes with like, remember, it's like okay to be a little awkward sometimes when you're in person and just like doesn't feel okay anymore. But I think there's some real lingering effects of COVID that have affected not just it's always been hard to make friendships as an adult, but I think it's particularly hard right now for people. Okay, so with this teaser though, we gave that teaser of the topic today. Before we get in, I have some warm-up questions for you that I'm curious about.
Okay.
Okay. So, I've been inspired by just like mm, thought-provoking questions that I've seen asked either on podcasts or literally at work sometimes. Some of the coaching exercises I've done. And I want to know from you, I had this one pulled up. Um, one of the things that I really enjoy, where'd it go? One of the things I really enjoy thinking about is this experience of, you know, sort of arbitrary rules that we create for ourselves. So, like, for me, for instance, I've got this truly random rule that I won't turn the heat on until Halloween. And in New England, that's like saying something. And sadly, it is getting a little bit easier over time. But I love recognizing in me when I'm like, where the hell did that come from? Where the hell did my like line in the sand on whatever particular thing it is? Do you have any like arbitrary rules that you have in your life for yourself, how you behave? Are you like, I will never double text back? Do you have any arbitrary rules?
Double text back. What's double texting back? I don't even know what that
I
means.
guess that doesn't apply to you.
It doesn't matter.
That's so funny. So some people will like hold themselves to a standard of if they're like thinking of you and you don't get a response, they won't text and be like,
Uh,
"Hey, how's your day going?"
got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have any arbitrary rules like that? I'm sure I do. We've t this is funny because this is not the first time we've talked about traffic on this podcast, about driving. I am a really big stickler for not driving slow in the fast lane,
Yes. The
and
fast lane
for
is for lawlessness. But go ahead.
fast lane
Yes.
or for people who are passing slower people, right?
You know,
Which
reasonableness. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and the only reason I know that I am well, there are 2 reasons. One, because I see drivers around me doing really dumb stuff, and I realize, like, I have very strict rules about how I drive for myself. Part of that may be because I've been in a couple of life-threatening accidents,
Mm,
car rolls over, going 85 miles an hour, and the entire roof gets
Jesus.
shredded, and we yeah, so, like,
You were
gnarly
in that
crashes.
car?
I was in that car, yeah.
Was this the one when you
Um,
were small?
no, different car.
And yet
Yeah.
another one. Wow.
I just bought a brand new truck, and my friend and I were driving it from Boulder, Colorado to California in a single push. I drove all night long. He fell asleep at like 10 o'clock. I woke him up at 7 o'clock in the middle of nowhere, Nevada, so that he could take over. And within 5 minutes of taking over, he fell asleep at the wheel. And we rolled doing 85 miles an hour in my brand new truck. Yeah. And I'd been awake all night, so I fell asleep immediately. And I woke up to us going over the rumble strip. And then he freaked out. He woke up and
Oh, he
jerked the
overcorrected?
wheel. And when he overcorrected, the truck went into the center divider and just rolled. So, so anyway,
Oh,
I have a lot of arbitrary rules about driving that other people don't pay attention to.
Pancho, I would say that is not arbitrary.
Yeah.
I think there's a really good reason why you have this rule.
Okay, sure. All
There's
right.
no
So
good reason why I
arbitrary.
won't turn on the heat till Halloween.
Uh okay. Um the dishwasher. I
Yeah.
can't get behind the dishwasher for some reason. I gotta like and I've been slowly getting weaned off of this because Steph is big on the dishwasher. But there's just something wrong about washing your dishes in the dishwasher, and you gotta wash them by hand. And the only reason I don't wash all my dishes by hand is because our dish tray sucks and it's too small and we don't have enough counter space for a bigger dish tray. So I'm now starting to cave and, putting some dishes in the dishwasher. But that like something is just fundamentally wrong with putting dishes in the dishwasher compared with washing them by hand.
Did you grow up washing them by hand?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That
But
makes a
that,
ton of
that
sense to
doesn't,
me.
yeah.
That's okay.
Uh,
You don't have to come up with a perfectly arbitrary rule.
yeah. Yeah.
But
So
these
it's
are
arbitrary rule.
like fascinating windows into you that like
Huh.
yeah, it makes a ton of sense that if you grew
Yeah.
up of like this is how we do the dishes and this is how I
Hmm.
guarantee that they're clean because I can look
Yeah.
at them and do it myself.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
just the two
I
of
mean,
you.
where did your rule about not turning the heat on until
Yeah,
Halloween come from?
it's not as arbitrary as I'm making it out to be because so I grew up in an environment where there was, for me at least, there was a lot of like excess. There was a lot of like just excess stuff and excess spending and just so much. So I swung the other way and I've like gotten through it. Like I'm mostly a reasonable, normal person at this point, but I have a real sense of like, don't waste, frugality, like
Yeah.
tracking.
Yeah.
So and I've got a real bent in like one of my other coping mechanisms for a little bit of a chaotic childhood was um intensity and like I will be the most intense person. I will like rough it. I will like I my my pain tolerance is problematically high. So like when I was giving birth to my twins, I had a hard time getting myself out of the antepartum into labor and delivery because my pain scale had to be a certain number. And I was like, I don't know. How am I supposed to know how hard, like, painful it is? I've never had the worst pain in the world. I think I'm still at a 3. And my wife was like, she's at an 8. Jesus Christ. She's at an 8. Get us out of here. Like, we eventually got into labor and delivery and delivered the twins. But it, it was all screwed up. So the
Yeah.
heat being set on October for Halloween is like, no, I will get to November because like I can handle it. I'll put on a sweater. How hard is that? But
Sure.
then like I actually recognize that now as a 40-year-old adult who like doesn't have to, I don't know, deprive herself to feel like worthy, that like my whole personality changes when I'm cold and it doesn't change for the better. Snappy. Like everyone will benefit when I turn on the heat when it needs to be turned on. But I don't know. I have a hard time with doing it in October. So that's my non-arbitrary arbitrary story.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
And talk about friendship.
Huh. Yeah. Let's talk about friendship.
So I proposed this topic because it's been something I've been thinking about and it called out to you. What called out to you about it? What made you think like, oh, I like that one?
Um, I think I'm generally because I'm a relationships nerd. Like I've been I'm always happy to talk about relationship dynamics, whether it's professional relationships, romantic, friendships. There are a
Yeah.
lot of things in common, but yeah, I think it'd be that. And because recently I've had a couple of things happen where I've had to take a look at my adult relationships and the dynamics in those relationships more carefully. So instead of just kind
Mm,
of having them be things that
mhm.
are business as usual, I've had to, stop and notice what the dynamics of my adult relationships are. I moved, so that was one, moving from one place to moving 8 hours away from where I'd been living for the last 20 years. That came with the challenge of leaving my entire social circle that had been building for 2 decades and starting over. I wrote an article recently about advice I'd give my teenage self, and part of that had to do with adult friendships. And then uh, I have to be careful about how much I share. But Steph and I recently had, I think, I think it's the first true, like, messy adult friendship breakup either of us has had, at least that either of us can remember. And so that was an opportunity to reflect on the dynamics of our adult friendships and what we want and, what we're not willing to tolerate in those friendships. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, there isn't a social grieving process for friendship breakups like there is for romantic breakups.
Mm. Yeah, I'm curious, what do you mean by that? Because we grieved for sure. So I'm curious,
Yeah.
what the framework is that you've got in mind for how that's lacking in the friendship dynamic.
You guys might be rare in that. I think this really throws people when a friendship gets sour because there isn't, just like there are certain stages of a relationship ramp up in a romantic relationship or even like deepening intimacy in a friendship. There's we talk a lot about breakups in romantic relationships and what that looks like and how to navigate it and how to know, like, is this person for me? Is this working out well? Is this a healthy relationship? How do you break up with the script? But there isn't something similar as like intentional for friendship and also acknowledging like we have a lot of like not scripts, but just for romantic relationships, why things don't work. Like, okay, just there's a sense of incompatibility. You know, you are right, but not for me right now. Or whatever it is. We don't have something similar for friendships of like, yes, there's drifting apart. Y- Yes, there's just sometimes we're like sort of you're bothering each other, you're clashing. But there isn't a sense of why we might need to reshape and reformat our friendships and like they might need a different size container. Like your best friend from childhood might feel like they are still your best friend in adulthood and should be and get really defensive if there's anybody who's coming in. But you've moved on or you've grown or you've changed and you need a different size container for that friendship. And so
Mhm.
it's almost like we don't have it's the binary of in a romantic relationship. We think about it as a binary of breaking up and or being on. And really, we all know that there's a lot of in between. And the same is true for friendships. And I think one of the like, I don't know, gifts of the non-monogamy community and like I think this is a fairly controversial topic about like how valid can these like multiple relationships in a romantic sphere be. And also I've noticed in sort of observing it that one of the coolest things is the ways in which relationships can evolve from romantic to friendships and sort of grow and go small and like um, shrink as needed, change shape and change size, change relationships. Like there's more fluidity and flexibility. And I feel like in our friendship worlds, generally, we don't. that does happen, like, people come in and out of our lives, but it leaves because we don't have the same rituals, the same words, the same, like, frameworks. We don't really acknowledge or know how to navigate those changes, and so we just take it personally, or we just ghost, or we just stop. Like, we don't bring our best relationship skills to our friendships because we don't, as a culture, value them as highly as our romantic relationships. And I
Mm.
think that's sort of like the thing that sticks with me often is how if we treated our friendships with the same intensity and intentionality as romantic partnership work, we might be better off. That's sort of where I'm coming from.
Got it. No, that makes sense. And I think the reason we grieve this friendship, I think most adult friendships kind of fade away, right? It, it's not like they end up romantic relationships in I think in any capacity, but in in the kind of monogamous traditional framework, they have to end for another one to come along later, right? So there needs to be this very defined line in the sand where the relationship is now over. And like you said, there are rituals and social conventions around that. Whereas with friendships, there's usually not something like that when a friendship ends. It just fades.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you pick your head up and look around, you realize it's gone. It's over. And you
Yeah.
can't quite put your finger on when that happened because it was a gradual falling out of consciousness, different habits, whatever, people grow apart. So
Yeah.
so maybe it doesn't hit as hard as
Yeah.
the abrupt end of a relationship does. And because it's more of this gradual, thing that happens in the background, then you can ignore the more subtle emotional landscape of losing that friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sort of like food that goes slowly bad in the back of your refrigerator, but you don't notice it. And then you're
Yeah,
like, what's that smell?
right.
Oh man. Oh man, I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That
Except
hasn't been good for a while.
food, you still have to go throw it away, right? You still have to, like, face the
Yeah.
fact that this food's gone rotten and
Yeah.
put it in the trash. With the friendship, you don't have to do anything. That's actually the whole point,
Yeah.
is you don't do anything. You just go on about your life with this friendship that's now no longer part of your life. And you don't have to throw it away. You don't have to confront the person that you're no longer friends with. It's actually the opposite. You have to go do an uncomfortable thing now if you want to revive the friendship.
Yeah. Right.
So,
And like, why? So, why do friendships matter? I mean, it feels like a rhetorical question, but
mm,
have you heard the Harvard like longitudinal study? It's like one of the longest running studies ever about like why people, and do you know like the number one reason people live longer, like the determining factor of like most highly causal factor is friendships.
remind me. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's friendships. It's like if you've got a certain number and generally around 3 to 5 close friends, you're X% more likely to live beyond 85 and 90. And it's the quality of your friendships that really determine the length of your life when you hold other
Hmm.
things steady. And also, so we know these things are important. We know that we're in the midst, I mean, we've heard this over and over again, of a loneliness epidemic, like the Surgeon General publishing, as much loneliness has the same health effect as smoking 15 cigarettes a day kind of thing. Like it's really uh, sort of a tragic scene we're in. And people are trying. I think it produces a lot of anxiety in people. Like, I don't have anybody to call when I need help. Like this is something that people want. They're noticing. They're anxious about it. But it's a whole different skill set than when we were in pre-K. And we have not been taught this. And I really thought for myself, because I'm somebody who felt like, oh, I make friends really easily. I learned that was because I was on sports teams through forever, like through my 20s, like just intense communities of rowing, of all kinds of sports in high school. It was really easy. As soon as I got out of that, Not the same. Not the same. And these are specific. There's reasons why friendships are important. There's reasons why it's hard. And there are things you can do to increase your friendships you have without overloading yourself with like, oh my gosh, I have to like send a text to, 15 people every day to be like, how you doing today? I mean, that's not friendship. But yeah, it's come up for me because I've had to navigate it for myself and I'm not perfect at it, but it's definitely been a thing for me over time. How about you? What's your friendship sort of trajectory been like?
Mm. Um, I think my friendship trajectory is actually not common.
Ooh.
Part of it for a few different reasons. One, I think because I'm really into outdoor adventure sports, rock climbing, mountain biking, that kind of a thing,
Mhm.
which, like you said, sports teams, when you go outside and you do things with other people, that is it's a perfect channel for, mechanism
Totally.
for building and maintaining friendships. And the second reason being that I used to live in San Luis Obispo. It's this little 50,000 person town, halfway on the coast between LA and San Francisco. And it's a really small town. If, most of town is walkable or bikeable. You can get around on a bike, no problem. I did for years. And it has a really strong social dynamic. There are coffee shops everywhere, and they are the local watering holes. You wake up on Sunday morning, you roll out of bed, and you put some clothes on, and you just like walk 4 blocks down to the coffee shop,
But you've got third
and
places.
the third
Oh.
place is everywhere. Yeah, so
Oh,
so there's coffee
glorious.
shops. The climbing gym is a third place, though it's not an actual building. Mountain bike rides were a great way for me to maintain friendships,
Mhm.
and so basically my entire adult life, I've had all of these outlets to go and relate with people and build those friendships in a way that didn't feel forced or artificial. I would just do the things I wanted to do, and then the other people that wanted to do those same things would be there. And because it was such a small town, there would be overlap, right? I would go to the coffee shop and see the guy that I mountain bike with once a week, or I'd go and see people from the climbing gym. And so it hasn't been difficult for me to have friendships in my adult life. Um, and I think at this point, I've kind of habitualized it to where, people say it's hard to make friends, and that's not my experience because I had all of these situational advantages. The thing that is interesting to me is I keep up with a lot of my friends who I went to college with. I think partially because in my adult life I've had the habit of keeping up with friends in general. So
Mhm.
those friendships are still maintained because it's just something that's part of how I am.
Mhm.
But it has been interesting to notice that I don't keep in touch with anybody from my group of high school or junior high friends.
Mhm.
There was like you know, uh, a hard cut there. And looking back on it, I think I know why and I can speak to some of those reasons, but I think for a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's the opposite, right? You're friends with the people that you went to high school with, the kids that you grew up with. Maybe you're also really good friends with the people that you went to college with, and that's it. You just carry
Yeah.
those friends through the rest of your life. I've switched it. I'm the opposite.
I'm curious, you're like the positive outlier we need on this podcast to help us understand what does it look like when you do sort of not just make friends easily, but keep friends of different from
Mm,
different time periods of your life? Because one of the things that like strikes me is keeping up with friends from college, from that you're not like living with, that you're not, in the same area, you're not local. Like I'm assuming your friends from college are not around the corner from you. They're they're all over the place.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay. So the question for you, and I'll give a little bit of like a prelude to it, but the question for you is, what does it look like to keep up with these friends? Because I think that's one of the hardest things for us generally as like lifes in we have life stages, we get married, we have kids, we move to new cities. Like you have this influx of people, you have this influx of new things for you. Like you are changing as a person, new logistics for your life, new just like patterns in life. Being able to stay connected to friends who are from a different stage of your life is that's a pretty heroic act. And it takes a lot of cognitive capacity to do it. And I don't know, just like emotional flexibility and willingness to like do the hard work to arrange like group trips and scheduling and where we're going to go and da da da. It's significant and also is a bunch of little things. It's not just the big things of just like catching up, remembering birthdays, remembering like life events for people. I think it's really one of the harder parts of adult friendship is maintaining these connections to our past lives, past selves that they represent. How do you do it? What's your secret?
Such a big question. I don't know that I have a good answer for you. I hmm, how do I keep up with people who were my friends in a different chapter of my life in which
Yeah.
we lived together and got to spend time together, and now we're in different states, and maybe they have kids and I don't. Is
Yeah,
that the
exactly.
question?
Yeah, and I wanna point something else out that is notable about this part of the story.
Yeah.
You spent f an intense period of your life, couple of years probably, living lives with these people. Like, we are in the same living room for a while. We're, like, maybe grocery shopping. We're, like, gone trips. You were, like, intense intimacy of friendship for a concentrated period of time, but, like, you are close. So probably, just not to jump ahead to your story, but, like, that pays dividends for a long time. Like,
Yeah.
if you've done that for 2 or 3 years, you can get by on 15 years of text messages every 6 months. So, like, "Thinking of you, friend," and you're still close. So, what does it feel like for you? I'm making a bunch of assumptions about what
Yeah,
that
no,
looks
that I mean,
like.
that's what it was. Like, my best friends in the world today are a group of guys that I went through the outdoor adventure program with at Cal Poly. So Cal Poly San Luis Obispo is where I went to college, and all 5 of us who are in a text message thread that we all use to communicate on a weekly, if not daily basis, we all went through that program, and we all had life-changing experiences on outdoor adventure trips, but we shared the life-changing experience of becoming an outdoor adventure leader in the most formative period of our lives. So, we have that in common. And then shortly after we all graduated college, I think when we were all between 20 and 22, all of our significant others cheated on us.
You went through a hell of initiation. I was before you even said that, I was like, "Oh, so you went through boot camp together, and now
Yeah. Yeah.
Navy SEAL boot camp."
So
Oh,
so it
boy.
was, like all of us basically it was what life looks like after college. We all ended up, bringing our college relationships into the next stage of our lives, or we started relationships immediately after college. And within a 12-month period, 4 of us all had our significant other cheat on us, and we got to talk about it together. So that almost acted as a mechanism to come back together and to talk on a daily basis because it was so important. We knew how important it was to have somebody just
Wow.
send you a message and be like, "Hey, what's it like today?"
Wow. So,
And
you seem like a pretty high EQ group of people, high emotional quotient.
I don't know that we were then. We were just I mean, but it's almost like we stumbled on it, mm, as
Raise
young,
yourselves up.
early
Yeah.
20 dudes. You're like, "Wait, this actually helps. This is valuable." And so I think we just kept on doing it because we noticed it made it better. It's not because we knew this is what we have to do to make it better.
Yeah.
That from there, it blossomed into, okay, well, let's all set aside a 5-day weekend and go canyoneering in Zion together. And we would all drive from different parts of the country and all show up in Zion National Park and, do mushrooms and go canyoneering in the opposite order. First go canyoneering, then do mushrooms.
I was gonna ask you.
But,
That's great.
um, we continued having really formative, meaningful experiences with one another and helped each other keep living into, these outdoor adventures that were really meaningful to us. So yeah, that's I didn't have a wedding party at my wedding, but if I had, it would have been those guys, right? And I've known them since I was 19.
And you recently got married, but you've been in like a partnership for a while, a couple of years with Steph. How has that changed friendship for you, if at all?
Yeah, Steph and I have been together for 10 years at this point. Um, and how has that changed friendship for me? Steph really cares about community. And Steph is more of I really care about my community kind of person. I really care about this small number of really close friendships
Mm.
type. And Steph also has a group of really close friends, right? But I think that's more my speed, and her speed is more of let's go and do things in community, events, concerts, you know, big dinners, that kind of a thing. So I think we both reinforce each other's tendency to want to be in relationship with other people, and we propel one another to get out of the house and go do things with our friends, right? So like for example, she goes on dog walks with her gal pals all the time, and it's something that
Mm.
I'm really glad that she's got as we make friends in a new place. So yeah, I think, and that's just that's an aspect of the fact that Steph and I really encourage one another to do what we want to do, and when we have that in common, then we do it together. But I like mountain biking way more than she does, and so I go and do that with a group of friends. And
Hmm.
she likes doing other things that I don't particularly want to take part in. I'm not as much of a nightlife person as she is. She likes to get glittered up and, go to a concert. I want to wake up in the morning and go ride bikes. So I don't want to be up till
Pancho,
1
I
in the
want you to come
morning.
to our next recording covered in glitter. Have Steph do you up.
Deal.
We're gonna do this. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Get your glow
Yeah.
sticks. We're gonna rave.
I'm going to make sure Steph doesn't listen to this episode so that doesn't have to happen.
I'll tell her when she comes on the podcast. I'm gonna tell her the same thing.
Um, but yeah, I think, that, yeah, my romantic relationship definitely plays into and supports
And
having healthy
supports.
friendships and, being in community. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think so that, right? The people that I've
Yeah.
had who are friends for 20 years, it's what you said. We had a really they were my college roommates, or they were, fellow trip leaders in the outdoor adventure program in the university I went to. And then friends that I've made after college are people that I rock climb or mountain bike with. And so there's
Yeah.
still a framework, a structure to build that friendship on. And
Activities.
and so it's activities. It's something that gets people together, and that when you're first making friends with someone, it's really awkward. So having an excuse to stay with it and keep going back until it's not awkward anymore is really important.
I think it's huge. Like ding ding ding. Being able so what you're doing, you're in person, you're doing an activity that meets regularly. You're showing up for the activity, not necessarily because like my friend asked me to like go talk to to him or her. It's we're
Mhm,
gonna go do an activity together. So it gets a
mhm.
little like you have this buffer that it's not so impersonal if you can't make it. It's not like I'm rejecting you. It's just I can't make it the activity. but you have the activity as the buffer that allows you to get as close or as stay as distant as you want to, as feels comfortable. But it's the in-person frequency regularity. There's this author that I follow. It's she wrote a book called We Should Get Together. Her name is Kat Velos, and she wrote a book about friendships and adulthood, and both why it's hard, but how to make it less hard. And the thing she says is like friendships happen in adulthood because there's frequency, intensity, or intimacy, whatever you want to use for your I, commitment, and proximity, like the people just around you. And just in terms of like, I don't know, the lessons here of, I do think that you've got this beautiful positive story of friendship, even through changing locations and changing life states, like getting married. I think that's really rare. And for people who may not have that, being able to notice like, why does it work for you? Like
Yeah.
not to like pry in and make you a little case study and like lab experiment you, but you've got all these experiences of you had the deep intimacy and you do connect regularly, like in your group chat, and like you make space for in-person experiences that are also like reinforcing deep connections through
Right.
adventures. And your new friends
And I mean,
are the same way,
I think
right?
another thing that's really important there is the friendships are built on things that I wanna go back and keep doing, and I
Yeah.
may not do them as much if I didn't have the friendship there to propel me to do it, right? So mountain biking at 6 in the morning is really good for me. I'm far less likely to go mountain biking at 6 in the morning by myself
Yeah.
when I wake up at 5:45 in the morning, hit snooze and, or just turn off the alarm and go back to sleep. But when I know that my buddy is also gonna be there, then there's a commitment to maintain like, well, to maintain the commitment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so there's almost like a reciprocal feedback loop there between the friendship and the person you want to be reflected in the activities you would see yourself doing ideally to have the life you want to live. So that's a big part of it as well. Is for me at least, it's been looking for the people who think, behave, and design their lives in a
The way
way
you
that,
want to.
yeah, in a way that makes me want to do the same.
Yeah. Right. Like that
Yeah,
theory of you are the average of the five people you spend the
exactly.
most time with. Yeah. You
Yeah,
want to be
yeah,
around the people who do this stuff.
totally.
Yeah. And so, like, if you're not, I think both of us come from like a sporty background, and that's where I have found it the easiest to make friends over time. But that's not everybody. And that hasn't always been me in various stages of life. How, I don't know, like, what comes to mind when you think about how else could people do this if they really don't want to go mountain biking or rock climbing or move their body in any way?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the way I know how is find something you really like to do
Yeah.
that leaves you feeling like you're a slightly better version of yourself,
Hmm.
and then go find the other people doing the same thing.
Yeah. I totally agree. Or create it. Like,
Or sure,
I
build
have
it. Yeah.
been perpetually looking for, I have not found it yet. If anybody wants to join me in this, please join me. I love music. I love listening to music. I love listening to albums. I love sharing songs that just like, I have a whole playlist called This Effing Song on Spotify that like the songs where I hear it, I'm like, good song. And I'm like, oh, another one to the playlist. Sharing that with people, like talking about new albums that have come out, like I would love this. I mean, this is like a throwback to like 60s and 70s, get around, like listen to a record together. I would love that. I have not found where is that? I want to do this with people. I want to be in person doing it with people. And I haven't found it yet, but I truly may be creating this. But that's an example of like, oh, what a great way to, you don't have to be moving your body, but connecting around something. It could be a book club. But it's somewhere where you're like, you are gonna come and show up. It doesn't have to be a paid thing, but it could be somewhere where you're like, I'm committing to this, and so are the other people. And we're committed enough to get through the awkward early stages, which you mentioned, which are so
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. I mean, curious for you, like successful friendships in your adult life. What does that look like?
Mm. Parenthood really threw me for a loop. Leading up to parenthood, I was came out of lots of sports, lots of rowing through, I was like rowing at least once a day, often twice a day until I was 26, 27. So like this team I saw 2 times a day most of the year. And just like that was my social life. That's who I hung out with. That's what we were all like in the little Boston rowing community, like right around Trader Joe's in Cambridgeport. Like it was just we're all there. We're all going to
Mhm.
Starbucks after. We're all going to Trader Joe's to food shop right after practice. I mean, like we are living life. Working in Boston, taking the tea, the whole thing. It was just like connected community. And when I moved to Rhode Island from Boston, I lost a lot of that. And I moved to a big house in suburbia, not big, bigger than my apartment in Boston, with like, there's a lot of space between the houses. There's no sidewalks here. But like, I live on a sod farm. I live on hundreds of acres of grass everywhere. Like, I'm not walking to a third place from here. It's a profound change. And I didn't appreciate, I was just sort of like a little bit conveyor belty of like, yeah, like I'm really tired of having upstairs neighbors. I'm really tired of trying to park my car in the snow on the side of the streets of Boston and getting like, I don't know, oh my God, Boston in the snow. I
Quick
was ready.
quick interjection. For people who don't know what a third place is, because not
Oh,
so long
yeah,
ago, I didn't know what a third
yeah,
place is.
yeah.
What's a third place?
It's, you've got home, your first place, where you spend a lot of your time. You've got work, but often we need a third place. Cheers, right? It's like a place you go where everybody knows your name. It's a place you can go where you're more or less guaranteed to be welcomed warmly, intimately, even if you don't know the people. But it's familiar enough that you're probably going to see somebody there you know and can just like spontaneously exist, so that friendship and community and connection doesn't have to be so planned. Like you don't have to arrange a play date with your friend or, whatever it ends up being. But you can. I'm doing a lot of play date arranging at the moment, um, which is doubles as my social. Like it's my play date too because I'm hanging with the parents. And it's sometimes I meet parents of my kids' friends, and I'm like, I can't do it. Or the opposite, I'm like, I don't care if you like these people or not. We're going to be friends with them. We are going to the playground this weekend. And thankfully, I have many more of those experiences than the former. But one of the just sort of like really cool things is just about like third places is you don't have to plan. You can just go and show up. And I think that's one of the like biggest barriers to adult friendships is this experience of I'm too busy. Everybody's too busy. Like the day somebody invents an app that automatically schedules in a real and reliable way for a group of moms who are trying to hang out, $1 billion, unicorn. Nobody has figured out how to get us all to the same place at the same time within a month. I'm talking like we're scheduling 3 or 4 months out. And it's not just because of conflicting schedules. It's because you have to like arrange childcare and like things have to just be perfect for multiple people. It's just hard. And sort of to get back to the point of like, then you move to suburbia and this sort of conveyor belt of moving to the city down to bigger houses and more space. You lose proximity. Like I don't run into people. I'm on a farm. And I'm in sort of like an urban area, not classified as rural here. I can get to the highway pretty quickly. But there aren't spontaneous random connections unless I go out and like seek them. And nobody's knocking on people's doors around here.
Yeah.
And it's that like extra effort that really wears down the like organic nature of friendships where you just like run into people. So I've found I've had to, especially through parenthood, put myself in places regularly where I'm running into people and just be open to things going almost always quite imperfectly. Like you're running into people at the farmer's market every time, or you're running into people at like, the many other places I might have taken my kids when they were a little bit younger. Um, and it's these people you meet are not going to be your perfect like friends you imagined when you were like, they're not my rower friends, right? Like you have to bridge the gap for many different kinds of people, which is such a beautiful thing in the long run.
Mm,
Having multi-generational friends, friends of different ages, friends of different life stages. But damn, does it take some like presence of mind and humility to just put aside the part of you that's like, oh, I hate this. This is awkward. Like, I don't understand why that person is saying that. Like, could they not do that? Could they not do that tick? That's just so driving me crazy. I cannot be around it. And just to sit with the awkwardness for a while until you're like, wow, I need somebody to pick up my kid because I'm going to be late. And you're like,
yeah,
damn, I am so glad I made friends with that person. Or I need somebody who can come take care of my kid while I have to do something else. Or just like, I need help. I need help. I need help. I need help. And we can get into this whole other area of my like, I don't know, obsession on this topic, but also work life of folks who are the most hyper independent are the loneliness. And these are the people who burn out and show up in coaching with me because if you spend a lot of time building up the sort of story for yourself that I can't trust people, I can only rely on myself, nobody's coming to help me. If I accept help, I have to um, accept the help that they give in the way they give it. And I don't like that kind of
yeah.
help.
The
I don't like
if
that
they
help.
don't do it like I do it, I'm just gonna do it myself.
But let me tell you what a shortcut to friendship it is to know what kind of help you need, ask for it specifically, and be easy to help. Like, however they give, just let them give the help. Your friendships, bam, through the roof. But many of us rob ourselves of that opportunity because it's more important for us to be self reliant, hyper
Yeah,
independent.
yeah.
My
Hmm,
soliloquy. So you
hmm.
asked me what, like, I think the question was, what has adult friendship been like for me? And
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm a thinker. So I noticed that this was not feeling good for me. And I was trying to crack the code of like, why isn't it feeling good for me? And then I realized, oh, parenting is not what it was for my parents, where I was with cousins all the time. I was with friends all the time. I was walking places. I was biking places. And parenting for them wasn't what it was like when their parents were parenting. And each generation, it's gotten more and more atomized and isolated. And I'm just like a couple generations down being like, where is the village that everybody talked about? It has not arrived yet. And then I realized I have to be a villager. Okay, this is a new skill set. Here we go. So
yeah, yeah. And being a villager in a hyper individualistic society
society,
is doesn't come naturally. That's not that's not the way that like the flow of the current of your life is taking you. It's taking you
no,
towards like kick ass at your job, buy shit to make you happy, sit at home with your family unit and watch TV at the end of the day, and rinse, lather, repeat 7 days out of 5 days out of 7. That's not villager behavior. That's I keep to myself and I go in my house and but I mean, for you, your job is also in your house. So
yeah.
yeah, you got to do something else.
I think also it's technology and the ways in which we're able to connect over technology have really eroded the last shreds of incentive for us to get out and meet people in person and
Mm,
get over the awkward hump of the initial
yeah,
parts of it. Because you don't
yeah,
have to do that online. And it's really easy to cancel last minute. Like, have you
yeah.
noticed how many times, like, I notice this about myself that I often want to be like, I signed up for this, but I don't really want to go. Can't make it. Um, but I also notice that, like, when I host an event, for instance, the kinds of like reminders I have to send people and like individual, please come to like whatever workshop I'm doing. It's intense. That is 90% of the work is just like getting people to show up to the event that they said they would come for, that they paid for. They won't even come. And it's not, it's not even just 'cause, like, I could go into a whole like self shame spiral about like, maybe my events aren't good. It's not that. It's not that. It's easy to not show up now because we don't have the same standards of like the social etiquette of you committed, so you're going to come. Part like the 4-part thing. One of them is commitment.
You remember in high school when you and all your friends would agree days in advance, "We're gonna meet at the movies at 6 to watch this movie," and then everyone would magically just show up?
Yeah,
They're like,
with their
no
beepers.
Google Calendar,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
Google Ca like, I didn't even have a cell phone, you know? It's just like,
No,
we talk about it at school, and then we'd go do it, and yeah, like, that doesn't happen anymore.
no, and we would look up the showtimes in the paper because it was slow. It was analog, baby. Maybe Fandango, but not much. I
You
think do
just
you
had
remember,
to
like
trust.
wait, do you remember calling a hotline to find the times of the movies? This is the thing. Would I dream this? No, this was real. You'd call a
"No, this happened."
phone number,
Yeah, you'd call a phone number, and
like,
you'd get the movie times.
movie 511 or something? I forget. I'm confusing this with that, and then in college, in, like, 2004, you'd pick up the phone and you'd find out what was for dinner by calling 2 and then, like, on T9 texting, 2 EAT, to eat, the to eat line, and now I can't remember what the numbers are, but it was 2, 3, 2,
Mm,
8, whatever it was,
yeah,
and you would get the meals for the movie, but, like, we used to do that for the movies too. Yeah, but it was slow, right? And people would just show up because they said they would,
yeah,
and it's super different now, and it's not just because, like, of course, kids get sick, things happen, blah, blah. It's That's not the reason why people aren't showing up. It's hard.
yeah,
It's hard to get out
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. I've got a question. If you were, coming back to the article that I wrote, if you were to give your teenage self, or maybe, your younger self, early 20s, starting your adult life, 3 pieces of advice about adult friendships, knowing what you know now, what would they be?
Like, if I was gonna talk to my teenage self and say, like, "Listen, here are the things that I want you to know now so that you don't have to learn them later."
Yeah, yeah. Here are the 3 most important things for me to talk to you or to tell you about, specifically about adult friendships, making friends in your adult life. What would they be?
Number Absolutely number 1 is take things about 95% less personally. It's not about you. And to the extent it's about you, it's really about them thinking about you. And just doesn't mean you get to be an asshole. It doesn't mean you get to disregard people. But 95% of the dynamics that I, at least when I was 14, 15, 16, way over interpreting as like I did something wrong or like I'm doing something wrong is just random, like people learning how to be friends, awkwardly doing that together and freaking out because they don't actually know what they're doing. And that actually just continued into adulthood. I mean, this is all of us learning how to socialize and how to be good friends, how to be good people, how to be warm, how to be personable. And it's awkward, but when you are a teenager by design, like this is a phase of your life where your brain is um, evolutionarily designed to be incredibly egotistic. Like you are the center of your world. You are the main character in a way that like sometimes I still feel that way, but it's really
Which we
special in
we all still
teenagehood.
do that most of the time.
I know.
Yeah,
Like main character energy of teenagehood is unparalleled.
it's a different
Maybe
flavor. Yeah, for sure.
maybe rivaled by toddlerhood, but like you can't separate out what is me and what's them. And so I would say like number 1, it some of this is just utterly random and people just being awkward and not knowing what to do with those awkward feelings, and that's true for you
Mhm,
too, and just like give everybody some effing grace.
mhm.
Everybody, including yourself. Like self-compassion and compassion for them. Chill out. That would be the biggest one. The other would be, and also really commit, invest. See, like, I think one of the hardest parts for me in these friendships and like relationships is being able to really understand who's right for me. So that would probably be a third piece of advice is like, hey, Kim, here are some red flags and green flags about friendships and relationships. Like, that would help me a lot. And also, once those are sort of set, when you find a green flag hub, oh my God, the connectors. The people who are like full of warmth and energy and joy, and I'm like privileged to know a whole bunch of them now, who love people and connecting you to people, hang on to them for dear life. They are like God's gift to friendship because you grow in this experience. Put yourself into like these kinds of, like, I didn't have trouble finding the sports connection, but like if that wasn't, I would say like find the thing you love and do it. But it would be take things less personally, look for green flags and red flags, know what they are. And maybe that's a whole other episode. Once you find the green flag hub person, hang on to them for dear life, take them out for dinner often, go to all their parties. Your friendships will just like generate among themselves like mushrooms.
Right. Yeah.
So, how about you? What would you tell yourself friendship wise?
Yeah. I think in addition to the things we already talked about, I think, having activities with third places in common is a big one. Um, the first one would be this is just how kind of my approach to how I live my life in general. I only have so much time and energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I don't do things I don't want to do because when I do, that takes away time and energy from things that I value more. And I'm that same way about friends. So it's a different approach to you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Um, yeah, like you only have so much time to spend with people, so choose really carefully which
Yeah.
people are going to be the people you want to, spend that time with. So that's one. Um, both in and it's really a self-serving thing, right?
Mm.
In terms of your time management, your energy management, and in terms of setting yourself up to grow in the directions that you want to grow, to end up doing the things that you would envision yourself doing ideally. So that's one. I think another is it runs parallel to what you said about only taking 5% of the things personally compared with, so
Yeah.
95% of it isn't personal. Um, just holding friendships really loosely. So I think the best definition of a relationship I've ever heard is it's a mutual agreement between people to relate in a specific way.
Yeah.
I think for a
Oh, I
romantic
like that.
relationship, that's really important, right? Here's how we relate with one another. Here are the things that are completely off limits. Here's what's expected and how we show up for one another. Friendships are just like you were talking about ending friendships, beginning friendships is a more subtle, gradual thing. It kind of sneaks up on you. And so it's not common that you sit down with a new friend and go, okay, how are we going to be friends? What are the things that we're agreeing to do for one another? What are the things that are off limits? You know,
Yeah.
where am I willing to go with you and where am I not willing to go with you? And so you kind of stumble into those things as you're building friendships. And it's almost like you're like putting out sonar waves as you grow into a friendship. Like, like test this thing, send
Mm-hmm.
out some sonar in that direction and see what echoes come back, and determine how did this person respond to me bringing up this kind of a conversation when we're hanging out together. Did they grab on and did it go somewhere, or did it fizzle out, right? Or what is this person's approach to, you know difficult situations? How do they handle adversity,
That
right?
you
So
gotta you gotta know that.
you
Mm-hmm.
have to learn these things in a way that with friendships, in a way that's really gradual, um, and definitely look for opportunities to voice things out loud and see if they resonate and see if you get some agreement or if you get disagreement or if you get lack of engagement. That helps you understand what is the relationship agreement we're slowly
Mm.
building as we spend more time together. You could also just sit down with your friend and be like, look, we're getting to be really good friends. Here are some things that have happened. and here's what I would like the friendship to look like. What do you think? That can get weird though, right? Because people are just not used to behaving that way. For example, when I stopped drinking, I asked a bunch of my
Yeah.
friends that I mountain biked with, "Hey, would you guys mind not bringing beers on mountain bike rides anymore?" And they looked at me like I had just asked them to, like, name their firstborn child after me. Like, the audacity of and so sometimes coming to a
Wow.
friendship and asking for what you need, if it's outside of the scope of what that person's paradigm of friendship allows, it could be a point of friction. Um, on the flip side, though, you have to develop some understanding of what that is. The friendship, big friendship blowout breakup that I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the podcast was with people who my wife and I started hanging out with. And there were all of these green flags, including, they're social connectors and they're really outgoing and they're super gregarious. And so we started building a friendship with them over the course of a whole year.
Mm,
And we are people who hold things loosely.
mm,
So, we're and Steph and I, same thing. We hold our relationship loosely. We let each other show up when we want to, don't show up when you don't want to. And that's how we are in our friendships.
mm,
Turns out these people have a different paradigm of friendships where they think it's really important to show up when you invite them,
mm,
or when you propose an activity, they think it's really important. Like if I suggest an activity, my real friends, like my true friends, show up for that activity, even if it's an inconvenience to them, even if they don't think it sounds very fun, even if they're zonked because they've had a gnarly work week. That's what friends do. You show up for one another. That's the number one most important thing. That's not true for us.
mhm,
And so we were friends with them for a whole year. And then a very special, like two very special events, my wife's bachelorette party and somebody's 40th birthday party, ended up getting booked on the same weekend. And that led to this whole fallout of, us being perceived as people who only show up to the things we want to show up for and prioritizing our needs and, not showing up for them in the way that they expect their friends to show up for them. There was never a conversation had about what the agreement in the relationship was going to be. So we had no idea that for a whole year, this is how they were expecting us to show up, and we weren't. And they were making this outsized effort to come to game nights, dinners, whatever, and we couldn't care less if they came or not. Because what
bro, it's
was
not that
more
serious.
important
Yeah,
to us
totally.
was just that they're our friends. These are people we really enjoy seeing. And when we do happen
Yeah,
to run into them, we love doing that. But when it doesn't work for them because they have lives and they have jobs and they were just traveling 4 weekends in a row, we don't expect them to show up. That doesn't make sense. They
no.
have to take care of themselves, right? So we have different paradigms of friendship. And because I think maybe because the friendship grew too quickly, there wasn't an opportunity to do that kind of like slowly suss it out process. So so it's that, right? It's keeping in mind that to have healthy relationships, there has to be a mutual agreement on how the parties in the relationship show up for one another, and whether it's explicit or slowly constructed together, everyone's on the same page about here's what we expect of one another and here's
Yeah.
what we owe one another to keep this relationship, in this instance this friendship, going in a way that works for all of us.
Right, and people may be hearing that and thinking like, "Oh my god, I don't have time for this." But you really only, like, optimal number of you only need 3 to 5, like, close friends to f to receive, like, the optimal benefits of sort of a rich social life. And if those friendships are healthy and have this sense of, like, we agree generally how to treat each other. We don't have to agree on, like, all the many ways that you could exist in the world, but just how to treat each other, it goes really
Yeah.
far. And truly, it takes time because you don't know what to have conversations about until you run into friction.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Yeah,
oh, we think differently about this. Okay, so this is important to me. How do you think about it? Is there a way to sort of like meet in the middle? But
right.
you're not going to have, there are 11 billion different things you could have a conversation about. Good luck with the captions on that one, by the way. 11
11
billion
billion. I
is
know.
a real word in my head.
I'm gonna have to go back, and this is probably the second or third time you've said 11 billion on the podcast, because
It's my
first time you said it, I was like, shit, I have to go find that in the AI generated captions, correct it, because it's gonna be wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. I promise I'll bring
Yeah,
great guests. I'll do my end of
no,
it.
it's
But
fine. But no, yeah, you're totally right. So I just had something to say about, oh, I will say, you said, you only need 3 to 5 friends to get the benefits
close
of
friends.
friendship.
Yeah.
Don't go out and try to make close friends just so you can get the benefits of friendship. Friendship's not a transactional thing where you're going to go out and be like, I
Mm,
need friends so that I can have oxytocin. Like, no, that's not that, you're doing it wrong. Go to go to that third place, expose yourself to people and see who resonates and then start
don't
talking
get
to them,
arrested when you
right?
expose yourself to people. Don't get
Don't
arrested.
expose yourself in an appropriate place like a locker room. But
Make the locker room your third place.
just sit there naked talking to people as they come through the locker room.
Listen, people do that.
No,
People do that.
but no, I mean, like, yeah, you don't need to do this with a lot of people. You you know, but don't try to go make friends just so that you can like, yes, go make friends. If you find yourself lonely, yes, go make friends. That is the goal, but it's not a transactional thing.
No, and making like the one of the easiest ways, like we talked about sports, but generally serving some higher good together, whether it's like truly like the community of sports or volunteering or just like community building, like genuinely building a community where you're making a whole bunch of just like familiar faces and acquaintances, building that community around you so you feel safe and known and seen is a great way to also make your 3 to 5 friends as a byproduct,
Totally.
but not as the point. It just does
Yeah,
happen. And then
exactly.
you also have a
Yeah,
community. Yeah.
yeah.
That's a
And
that's a
then
good way to yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've got one more, and I think
Yeah,
this
tell
one's
me.
really important. And this is actually the one that comes back to not taking it personally. We all fuck up all the time. So David White,
Your
poet,
fave.
yeah, he's one of my favorites. He actually wrote a piece on friendship, and I have an excerpt I want to read from it. None of us are perfect, and I think at the foundation of ongoing friendships that last decades, is this habit, almost this automatic understanding that we forgive each other's shortcomings. Everyone's got something that's weird or that like rubs the friend group the wrong way. And you just take that as part and parcel of the person as a whole. And you go, yeah,
Mm.
that's fucking annoying that you do that all the time, but I still love you. Right. And every time you do it, I just forgive it automatically. It's like second nature in our friendship now. I just let it go because on the whole, you are an excellent friend.
Good.
So yeah, there's an excerpt from his poem on friendship.
Read it.
Yeah, let me pull it up over here. Um, a friend knows our difficulties and shadows and remains in sight, a companion to our vulnerabilities more than our triumphs, when we are under the strange illusion that we do not need them. An undercurrent of real friendship is a blessing exactly because its elemental form is rediscovered again and again through understanding and mercy. All friendships of any length are based on a continued mutual forgiveness. Without tolerance and mercy, all friendships die. In the course of the years, a close friendship will always reveal the shadow in the other as much as ourselves. To remain friends, we must know the other and their difficulties, and even their sins, and encourage the best in them, not through critique, but through addressing the better part of them. the leading creative edge of their incarnation, thus subtly discouraging what makes them smaller, less generous, less of themselves.
Mm, that line about friendships die without mercy, friendships die. Love it. That's it. The grace.
Without without tolerance and mercy, all friendships die.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
beautiful. Thank you. Put that in the show
yeah,
notes.
I
Make sure
will.
people get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Yes. Have we not said anything important about friendships that you want to share?
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more
Yeah.
to say, but I think we're at a good stopping point for me.
Yeah. We're in a good stopping point. Yeah. I would implore folks to both try new things, like in terms of just finding new friends and finding new places to be, finding new third places, finding new like habits and communities, and titrate. If you hate it, you don't have to do it to the 100%, full strength of the power. Take a break and come on back. But this is this is a lifelong project. These are skills. This is not something that you're either good at or bad at. They're just skills. So, and worth it.
I'll say one more thing. And I say this specifically about romantic relationships. I think for romantic relationships, this applies more strongly than it does for friendships, but it's still the case for friendships. And it is uh, to deserve what you want. So to explain that,
I had to process that one. All
right?
right.
So to spell it out, and I think for romantic relationships, it's easier to understand. If you want like a super hot, super fit, really prolific, intelligent, accomplished significant other,
Mm,
but you do the bare minimum at
or
work,
not that.
come home, eat a microwave dinner, watch 3 hours of sitcoms, go to sleep, and then wake up, rinse, lather, and repeat. And you're out of shape and you are not prolific and you don't lean into your growth edge and creativity, you don't match. There's no
No.
compatibility there. And so, like it doesn't make sense to put
Yeah.
those two people together and have that relationship work. And so as a person who wants somebody in their life, like be somebody who deserves that kind of individual in
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
Have it make sense. The same with your friendships. If you want a certain kind of group of friends, be the kind of person that it makes sense for those
As
people to be
if.
friends with. Right.
Yeah.
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 So if you want friends who are, outgoing, adventurous, who like to do fun things, start doing those things yourself.
Just cause.
Nurture those
Yeah.
qualities in yourself and you'll bump into them in the act.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yeah.
Deserve what you want. Is that what it
Deserve
is?
what you want. Yeah.
Oh. Oh. That's a challenge. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Thank you, Pancho. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thank you,
I
Kim.
appreciate being
Yeah.
your friend. And maybe someday we will actually meet in person
Right. We have to
and do the fun thing.
cross the
I
country,
am
like the entire length of the country.
I am not crevassing, rock climbing, mountain climbing
That's
with
fine.
you yet. But yet. But I'm sure someday there will be some sort of outdoor adventure happening between
I
us.
when you start hosting like rage thrashing clinics in the sod fields outside your house, I'll show up. We'll do that. Get the rage out,
Buy
right?
you a ticket. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
totally.
awesome. All right, friend.
Okay. All
Sounds
right.
good. Bye.